Samsung's Galaxy S6 Edge Plus gives the iPhone 6 Plus a run for its money. Sean Rad is back as the CEO of Tinder. Apple Music just got a little less buggy, and more. It's Thursday, August 13th, and this is Crunch Report. Today's show is just bursting with hope and pride and good news. So let's get the bad news out of the way first. HTC said last week that it would be cutting costs significantly, and today it got specific. 15% of its staff, or about 2,250 employees, will lose their jobs. We told you on Monday that HTC's stock price had sunk to the point that it is virtually worthless, and the Android handset maker also recorded a $252 million operating loss for Q2 of this year. The company says that the cuts will reduce operating expenses by about 1/3, and it plans to create new business units in the smartphone, virtual reality, and wearables categories. It's not just HTC though. Lenovo also announced this week it too will lay off 3,200 jobs, 5% of its global headcount, after a poor quarter of its own. This morning at its Unpacked 2015 event in London, Samsung announced two new flagship phones, the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 and the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, the latter of which probably most closely resembles the iPhone 6 Plus. The Edge Plus has the same 5.7-inch display as the Note 5, but is slimmer and lighter and more of a day-to-day device if you don't need a stylus. Glass and aluminum have replaced the cheap plastic casing. That's nice for some folks. And Samsung has also ditched the removable battery and the micro SD slot. Some folks might not like that, but it also helps not weigh it down. You can also pin apps to the edges of the screen. That's nice. And the device charges in just 90 minutes and has the same camera as the S6 Edge and has a nice big battery for heavy use. The device will launch later this month, but Samsung hasn't mentioned pricing specifically. Look for a detailed gadget review on TechCrunch very soon. The company also announced that after hitting the South Korean market, Samsung Pay is launching in the US in September. That lets you seamlessly pay for things with your phone, a lot like Apple Pay. Samsung uses NFC, fingerprint verification, and digital tokenization so that merchants can't see your credit card number. If a merchant already supports NFC payments like Apple Pay or Android Pay, it's pretty easy to add Samsung Pay support as well. Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our Tinder. Sean Rad, co-founder and president of the company, is returning to the CEO position that he left in March and then handed over to Chris Payne, who was a former eBay executive who also held positions at Amazon and Microsoft. The Tinder board expressed in a statement about the switchback today that Payne just wasn't the right long-term fit at Tinder. The CEO switch in March followed a year-long sexual harassment and discrimination lawsuit filed by Whitney Wolfe, then VP of marketing at Tinder, who has since gone on to start competing dating at Bumble. Looks like the dust has settled enough for Rad to return. As we mentioned yesterday, Tinder has had some negative publicity this week, but not about internal staff, about the product itself. Following a Vanity Fair article that painted the service in a pretty negative light, Tinder's Twitter account went on the defensive, prompting criticism about its PR strategy. Tesla has announced plans to sell up to 2,100,000 shares of common stock. Using yesterday's closing price of $238.17 per share, the company expects net proceeds from this offering to be around $492.6 million or $566.5 million if the underwriters, who are all just big-ass banks, exercise their options to purchase up to 315,000 additional shares. Tesla shares jumped about 2% on the news, but this share price is still about 8% lower than the 3-month average for the stock, following disappointing product estimates last week during the company's Q2 earnings call. Tesla CEO Elon Musk indicated he'd also like to purchase about 83,974 shares to be specific, for an aggregate price of about $20 million. Now, the influx of money will be helpful to Tesla. At the end of 2014, cash and cash equivalents were about $1.9 billion. Just 6 months later, that number was down 40% to $1.15 billion. Apple has released an official iOS update to 8.4.1 to users today. And if you use Apple Music, you'll probably be happy about this, since both Apple Music and Beats One were preventing some users from things like accessing their iCloud music library, or showing only offline music tracks, or adding songs to a playlist that hadn't been created yet, or showing the wrong artwork, or a borked love button. Little stuff like that, but when added up, have made more than a few users complain that the music app is kind of a mess. Perhaps a little better today. And that is The Report. I'm Sarah Lane. Crunch Report airs Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, right here on TechCrunch.com. It's Friday tomorrow. See you then.